The truth is an interesting thing because the truth is the truth no matter what. We've been telling the truth about some coaches in college football, and you know who's on the clock tonight? James Franklin. You know what that means. That means we're going to get the O word. Of course, overrated. James Franklin overrated, right? James Franklin, I am told time and time again, most overrated coach in college football. Now, of course, that's ridiculous, but we're told that a lot. So I asked you about 30 or 40 minutes ago. I'm going to ask you again, what do you think the truth about James Franklin is? Could be anything. I don't know. It could be his height and his weight. Could be what car he drives. Obviously, more specifically, I'm talking about football-related matters. But if someone asked you, James Franklin, he's the coach at Penn State, right? Yeah, what's the truth about him? What would you say? How would you describe him if it were up to you? I'm not talking about writing a Wikipedia biography. I'm saying in your own words and your own thoughts, how would you describe him? My truth on this is the truth. Okay, we're all about my truth around here. Well, we're all about the truth. Sometimes your truth is that the sky is purple, and that can be your truth all you want to. It's not real. But in this case, I think my truth is the truth on James Franklin. And my truth about James Franklin is, as I've said many times, he is the most properly rated head coach in America. That's old hat. If you've been around, you've heard me say that a lot. And you, if you disagree, you've probably come back at me with this stat. He is 1-19 versus AP top 5 teams. He's overrated. At which point I would have asked you, what is he rated? Anyone who is familiar, loosely familiar with this show understands this concept. Anytime we get told someone's overrated, something's overrated. It could be funnel cake, it could be a head coach. If it's overrated, the first thing we need to know is what is it rated? What are they rated? Because before that, we can't know. Overrated is relative to what? To what everything else is rated, relative to what you were rated. So, my point in saying that, when people throw the 1-19 versus AP top 5 stat at me, is I ask, okay, so he's losing to top 5 teams, right? Yeah. And he's not favored to win those games in most cases, right? No, he's a point spread underdog. Okay, so it sounds like from a point spread perspective, he was properly rated because he wasn't favored to win the games. And follow-up question, has he also been losing a lot of games he's favored in? No, he's mainly just lost the ones he's a dog in. Oh, okay. So he's losing the games that a Vegas odds maker says he's supposed to lose. He's winning the games that a Vegas odds maker would say he's supposed to win. Yeah, what's your point? What's your point? You said he's overrated, not me. I'm letting you make my argument for me. Sounds like he's properly rated to me. So then when it goes back to, forget about point spreads for a second, Josh, he's just 1-19 against 1-15. My bad. Not quite as bad as we thought it was. 1-15 against AP top 5 opponents. What do you have to say about that? Well, I have to say this. Has anyone out there told me James Franklin's a top 5 coach? If you have, maybe we have a different conversation. I'd argue he's not far from that. I'd argue he's kind of on the precipice of that. But my point here is I haven't heard anyone say that James Franklin belongs above Kirby Smart. When Saban was around, I never heard anyone tout James Franklin as being greater than Nick Saban. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're not, I humbly ask that you click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything. What it does is it helps us keep this show free so we can just do college football year-round. All right, back to the clip. I haven't heard anyone put him above Ryan Day. I didn't see anyone put him above Harbaugh when Harbaugh was at Michigan in the latter years. I didn't see that. If it happened, it was done sparingly. And so my point there is, if you did that, then I may tell you you had James Franklin a little bit overrated, but no one does that. So the truth about James Franklin is, so far, during his tenure at Penn State, I'm going to tell you what he's done. He's won a Big Ten title. He's won double-digit games in 6 of his 9 seasons. At Vandy, before that, kids, hello, my college crowd, once upon a time this happened. James Franklin won 18 games in his final 2 seasons at Vandy. I believe it was his final 2 seasons. That's the best anyone's ever done there. Before he did it, I think the last guy who won 19 games had several friends that were on the Titanic. Literally, that's how long it had been. James Franklin's got a great resume. It's this one notch below elite. One notch below elite. which of course in our tin or trash society in whence we live means he sucks, right? He's overrated. He's none of those things. The way I would classify James Franklin is really good, and I would classify him as absolutely properly rated, because anybody out there who watches this sport, anyone who consumes all of college football, you'd probably put James Franklin safely in the top 10, maybe like closer to 10 than 1, somewhere in that range though, and you'd be right about that. If you put him number 2 and number 3, you'd probably be a little bit high on him. If you put him 12 or 13, you'd be low, because I can promise you there aren't 13 better out there right now, or 10, in my opinion, than James Franklin. But here's the fun part, because I've said all of that before. Have we seen the best of him? Have we seen the best of him? Because you can start to believe once you watch these Penn State seasons year after year, and you see him continue to win the same games they've always won and lose the same games they've always lost, you can tend to think, all right, he has squeezed every drop he can out of the sponge. We've seen all we're going to see of James Franklin. Maybe so. You could be right there. Or it could be that he's onto something, as he has been for a while, when he's talking about this alignment thing. See, James Franklin's talked about alignment. All coaches do. But he is, in a roundabout way, expressed how he hasn't always gotten the same answers to his questions at Penn State that Ryan Day has gotten, or he hasn't always gotten the same answer to his requests at Penn State that Ryan Day's gotten, or that Dan Lanning gets at Oregon, which, is not the end of the world, but it does mean if you're going to expect him to beat them on Saturday, kind of what he's saying is, I need what they have Monday through Friday. Penn State's not a poverty program, but no one's asking them to beat Minnesota, all due respect. You assume that they're superior to them and most of the Big Ten. What you're asking is, what's it going to take to trade blows with Ohio State regularly, Michigan regularly, Oregon regularly? Well, it's going to take probably having the same resource that they have, same resource pool that they have. That's an age-old concept. Point being, he's sounded a lot more satisfied on that front lately. Doesn't guarantee anything. But I just think about the intellectual pretzel that a lot of you would be twisted in if after all these years, James Franklin finally won the whole thing. Maybe it happens this year. Because I got an inbox over here full of people who told me he'll never do it. He can't. Contraction for cannot. Like it's impossible for James Franklin to win a national championship. Well, that's not true. You can say it's unlikely. Maybe I'd agree with you. Certainly not impossible, though. But I think there is something to at least be observed when he's spoken about this several times recently. He's not just talking to hear himself talk. He's spoken several times recently about how they've never had better alignment there. President, athletic director, head coach, collective, they've never had better alignment than they have now. Everybody at Penn State off the record's been saying the same thing, but he's not shied away from saying it on the record, okay? Hey, if it wasn't true, I promise you he wouldn't say it, because that puts unnecessary pressure on him. Because you know what I think? If I'm Harry up in Harrisburg and the head coach at Penn State's telling me, finally, I've got everything I've ever asked for. If I'm Harry in Harrisburg, I'm saying, well, then give me what I've asked for. Give me a true national championship competitor on the field. James Franklin would never just voluntarily welcome that pressure on himself unless it wasn't real, or unless it was real. I think it's real, so we'll see. That's the truth. The truth is James Franklin's really good. I know. It's shocking, but that's the truth.